Hey guys, hey everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome to another stream. Welcome to what's probably the final chapter working on this guy here. That's our PL-01 concept tank. And we'll run the intro and let the plane take off and we'll get into it, okay? Last time you saw me get rid of all the masking on here and got that all done. I've sprayed some clear coat on it. As you can see, it's a little shiny now. And I put some decals on it. Typical tank, not a lot of decals. But today we're going to make it look a little bit weathered, a little bit realistic, a little used, right? Things that you would see in real life and not just a brand new tank that's got absolutely no dirt or dust on it, right? And that's where these come in. Going to be using some pigments. These are pigments from VMS, and this one, it happens to be 03 Brown Earth. Okay, all it is this pigment. It's powder basically, and then I'm going to be using the VMS alkyd binders. And that's what we're going to do to turn this into kind of a paste, kind of like mud, right? We're going to be using a brush that I don't care about because basically it's going to ruin the brush in the process, right? So I have these brushes that I picked up on Amazon, real cheap. It's like $10 for 100 of them or something like that. So that's why I don't care about these getting messed up and throwing them away after I'm done. So I got lots. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix up some mud. So we're going to take some of our, I'll change the camera here so you can see a little bit better. Just do this, bing bing. All right. There's our powder. I'll find an empty spot here. I'm just going to dig some out. This. I don't think I need too much, but I think that ought to be enough. Like I mentioned before, I don't want to go crazy with the mud on this tank. Just a little bit. I just want to cover the tracks, basically. I'm going to cover my tracks. Then we take some of this stuff, and you only need enough to give yourself some mud. You don't want it so liquidy that it's like soup. You want it like mud. The nice thing about this is if you put too much and you turn it into like what I just did, you can always add some more. See, this is a little too thin. I've basically made paint now. I've made a thick paint, and I don't want that. I want a paste. Okay. So, oops. We'll add a little bit more. I want it a little bit thick. I think that's better. Yeah. Smear that around a little bit. Made a little bit of a paste. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. Okay, so I don't want to spill this, and I definitely don't want to spill this. Okay, let's put those aside. We'll grab our tap. Now, one thing I have discovered, you might be able to hear this, I have a rattle in my tank, and that's because the top track on one side has come loose and it's actually flopping around in there. But because of the side skirts and everything, it's got nowhere to go. Anyway, so realistically, the most mud that's going to be on this thing is on the back. And so I'm just going to add it a little bit along here. I don't want to clump it up in one particular spot too much. But nice thing about this is we're just going to paint our tracks brown. Because realistically, that's what they look like. If you want to get in there, you can put a little bit on here, inside. That's going to be realistic. There's going to be mud flung up in spots like that. Now, like I've said before, I don't want to go crazy with this, but I do want some. I want it as if it's actually been driven through the mud. Which means I'm actually going to paint the inside of the fender like that. I'm going to kind of stipple this a little bit so it's not quite so. I'm actually going to remove a little bit off my brush here so that I can do a little bit of randomness. And inside here I think would be realistic. When this stuff dries, it actually is pretty forgiving. I'm going to do a little bit up here, on the back, and of course along our sides. Just kind of a little bit like this. And of course on the sides of our tracks, the sides of the wheels. This. Now if you've gone too far with it, you figure you've got too much, it's no longer realistic, that's fine. This stuff cleans up pretty good too. Now, I've got a couple of spots where I want to actually put a clump of mud like this and fill in that gap. That's why I've made it thick, so I can actually depict clumps that have gotten stuck in the tracks. Just gonna make a big mess in here. Just going in there like this. If you really want to make it muddy, you can. Just the more mud you add, the more dirty it's going to make it. And it's really up to you. This is all about your art. You have total artistic license to make this as muddy or as clean as you want. I want this to be like, yep, this tank has actually been in production. It's been out in the field. It's, you know, it's been in places. It's actually gone through the mud and stuff like that, and it's not just fresh out of a showroom or anything like that. So that's why I'm kind of doing this a little bit here. As you can see, as it dries, it actually lightens up quite a bit. Make sure I do the top of the track in this side there too. That's going to be realistic. This is the loose one on this side, flopping around in there. There we go. There's my muddy tracks now. And as you can see, all that painting and everything I did is kind of hidden underneath all the mud. But that's fine. I'm not really concerned about that, because that's realistic. You know, in real life, that's the way it is too. There we go. So there we go. There's my muddy tracks. And now this brush is done. That's pretty much it for that. So that needs to dry, obviously. So I'll leave this to sit for a minute while I work on the turret and get the last couple of bits put on there. Okay, so put this aside, get my brush, throw this away, and you can either leave this or you can wipe it up, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to leave it. Okay, put that over there. So that's it for the mud, okay? So, grab our turret here, and we have our last little bit to put on there. That's this little sensor guy. I went and painted the lens on it red. I don't know if that's realistic or not. Pictures that I've seen and even the box art, it basically just looks black. Like, I don't know. I wanted to give it a little bit of something different. So, we have to install this, and we remember our little ammo for the machine gun. This little guy here, that's got to go on the side of the machine gun and down. Okay, and this guy has to go in this little hole here, like that. Okay, and I got to put the little cap on there. So I have my little cap here. Get some glue, and while I'm at it, I got to look close at this thing. So let's do this. Okay, so just like these other two guys, I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on them in there. A little dab. There we go. And just like the other ones, I want to put just like those other two. Once I've put this on, I want to make sure that I don't accidentally have glued it on. It feels pretty good. I don't think I got glue anywhere I'm not supposed to. It feels nice and smooth. Remember this one? This was the first one I did, and I actually got a little bit of glue on the shaft, and it wanted to glue this solid, but I just kept on turning it for about a minute until the glue was dried, and it didn't hold. So that's exactly what I wanted. This one I did good, I think, and we're good to go on this. Okay, I did paint the machine gun some gunmetal. That's why it looks nice and metallic, gray looking, and I did flat black on the tip of the barrel, and that's it. So she is ready for the next step. So now with that done, we're going to add some dust. Okay, and with the dust, to do dust effects, I'm going to use AK Interactive's Dust Effects. Okay, that's what I'm going to use on this. So shake this up. I got a ball in there that I put to help shake this up and get that. The pigments in these are pretty thick, and they do settle, so you need to really get in there. So that's shaken up. Now we're going to deal with our little ammo. This guy, remember this one goes on the side of the machine gun here and goes down like this. It sits like that. Unfortunately, when I put that on, the machine gun is no longer going to be able to do this. Okay, it won't be movable. And when I put this on, because of the length of it, they've basically designed it so that it goes right down to the base here, and it makes it so the machine gun is fixed in its spot, right? And to be honest, while I'm doing this, while I'm still doing weathering and stuff like that, I don't want to glue this in because I might bump this and then break this off. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to just hold off on that, okay? That's probably going to be my last step. In the meantime, I want to add some dust to this guy because I want him realistic. So, I want to bigger brush. Where's my bigger brush? I'll get this one here. We're basically just going to slather this thing with a little bit of dust, okay? Because right now he's just a little too shiny, he's a little too perfect, okay? So what I'm going to do is this. And you're like, what are you doing? You're putting it everywhere. Yes, that's the whole point. The whole point is to put it everywhere. Because I want it to look dusty. Okay? Just like that. Okay? Now, how are my tracks doing? Track's still a little bit wet along there and there, so we're going to wait a little bit longer for this because I want to put it down on the tracks, but they're still wet. So we're just going to have to wait. Okay? In the meantime, we can deal with this. We're going to basically smear this around and blend it all out. So I'm going to dry my brush a little bit here, get some of that off of there, and we're going to be using the this is often called white spirits. This is AK's odorless thinner, and basically we're going to use this stuff to blend it all around. See how that works like that? And we're basically going to be coating it, utilizing the fact that it blends in everywhere to create our dusty effect. And as it dries, there's going to be a few little areas where it's a little thicker, it's a little thinner, where it looks like, yeah, it's been out, it's got dusty, it's got some rain on it, and then the rain pooled the dust, you know, just like it does on your own car, right? You get the same effects on your car at a home, and that's the whole point here. That's why I'm kind of stippling it to create these little fake pools. And on the sides, as it goes down, we're going to streak it a little bit. Okay? You get a little too much, then clean off your brush. On the sides here, we're going to do this. Okay? I'm going to streak it down. See how the thinner basically reactivates the paint. The more thinner you use, the more the effect. Right? If you get too much, you just add a little bit more thinner and just keep on going. It's totally up to you. On the barrel, I'm doing nothing but streaking. Here. If you think you've gone too far and you've got too much, then just use a little more thinner. It's that simple. The more thinner you use, the more it washes it away. Okay? And the whole point of this is to get that streaking effect for you. That's the whole point, is to streak this down. Go all the way down. So that's where gravity would take it. All the way down. with this. Now the top here looks a little too blotchy. That's okay, so I can still work with it. That's a nice thing. This stuff works for a long time. It stays able to be activated. I'm going to say, call it activated. See, I can even do it more. I can just redo it. Get that feathered out and redone and more realistic. Right? People's going out there saying it's not realistic, it's way too dirty, it's a brand new tank. Yeah, it's a brand new tank, and it's a brand new tank that's actually been used, and that's the whole point I'm trying to do. Is this tank is not brand new. Yeah, sure, it's a concept tank, and in that aspect, in that regard, yeah, it is pretty brand new, but also this one's been used. I'm going to do a little bit in there, and I'm going to do a little bit of splotching on the top of these. A little too shiny, a little too new. I think that's looking pretty good. I think I'm at a point where I can see all my streaks. It looks good. It's realistic looking. It looks really dusty, just like that. Okay. Yes, it does kind of look like crap, but we're going to put a coat of flat clear on this to kind of make it all uniform and look at, well, just to get it all as one solid thing. Okay, so that's that. Let's put this aside now and have a look at our hull. I think I'm at a point where the track that's actually here and here is dry. Got a little bit here where I put the mud a little bit thicker there, and a little bit there that's still a little bit wet, a little bit damp. Same with here and tucked down in here, but this is dry. This is dry here. You can see the different color as it's wet. You can see this is dark because it's still wet, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a paper towel to actually sit this on. Okay, I'm actually going to close up my thinner in case I spill it. In case I bump it, I want it closed. Okay. We're going to do the same thing with the hull. Okay. Do this. Okay. Shake this up again. And we're basically doing the same process except on the hull. Doink, 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 doink. Same process. Now I have in the past put this stuff on and then forgot a side and just finished it up. So I'm going to try to remember to do all the sides on this particular tank, because I have been known to actually forget, and Okay, let's dry this up a little bit. Okay. Basically right now it just looks like, oh, you're just painting the side. You're just painting the side. Yeah, kind of I am. So where did all this streamline and what happened to the concept of precision go? What happened? Well, that's just the way it is, isn't it? I want to get rid of my blotches that I've put up here and make them look more like rain streaks, or streaks of some sort. Now I've actually got a little too much here, so I'm going to wipe some of this away. See, while it's wet, you can do that. And that looks better to me. Just that. Just wiping that simply. You can wet it like this, and then you can wipe. Just wipe in that same direction, and there you go. I just removed a whole bunch there. So if you do happen to go a little too far with it and you're not happy, just reactivate it like that. Now this thinner, I believe, will also work on the mud. So be careful if you're not wanting to get rid of the mud. Okay, so now we're going to do on the top here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to reactivate this all and kind of smear it around everywhere. Okay. See, at this point where you've got this, anywhere that you're touching with the brush is basically putting a very thin layer of this stuff everywhere. And so any spot that you're not actually touching is basically going to be pristine. So you want to make sure you get everywhere. As it dries, then it feathers out really nice. I will say, you know, this is not my own technique. I did not come up with this at all. This is basically my own weird interpretation of what Uncle Night Shift does. Now this isn't angled down, so I want to do some streaking on this side. I want to paint it down like this because, well, that's the direction that gravity's going to flow on this. Okay. So we're going to paint this all down. Just like this. Now this little grill here, I want to kind of I always find it's a little bit of a challenge to actually get my lines perfectly straight when I'm painting down like this and doing these streaks. But this particular side, I got a little bit of a blend of the dust and the mud. Okay, let's do the front since I did do the front here. There we go. All right. Did I do the back? I believe I did the back. Yes, I did. Okay, need a little more. Our brush is getting dry. Again, we got this grill here. The grill is going to need some panel liner in it to make it realistic. Okay, so we've got one more side to do. And maybe, I think I'm good on as far as how this is all blended together. Yeah, okay. Close up the thinner so I don't accidentally spill it. Got one more side to do. We've got this side. Doink, 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 doink. Again, just like before, it's all up to you totally on how much or how little you do. Right? Dry off my brush. Thinner. And we'll start. You guys notice I'm pretty much doing this right away. I'm not even letting it dry. That's kind of because I want it to really smear around. But that's totally okay. As I pull it down, I want to make sure I get it on the bottom here too. Go. And like I said before, if you feel you've gone too far, you got too much, just keep at it with a thinner. And you can blend it out, you can reduce it. If you feel you've got not enough, you wanted more, then you just add more, add some more dots and continue on. Actually, go right in there and clean that up a little bit. There we go. Blend that out a little bit. Go. There we go. I think I'm at a point where I'm happy with this. I actually noticed a couple of pieces of tape I didn't remove. Look at that. How about that? Let's make sure these are incorporated into my paint or my streaking. That's funny. Okay, I think that's it. All sides are done. Which means it's now time for clear coat. So I am going to close this up. I'm going to use lacquer thinner to clean my brush. Okay. So let me get my lacquer thinner out here. And that means it is time to get this all in one uniform coat of clear. So put these back over here. I like to use, to me, a flat clear. That is the TS80. I like that stuff. I'm going to do the top of I'll do the turret first. Just lay down some flat clear on that to seal it all in. Do the underside first. And I'm going to put this down, and I'll do it on these angles first on the hull. I'm actually going to put my glove on so I don't paint my hand doing that. My paint is actually starting to run out a little bit. So I gotta grab another jar. I have another one here somewhere. Right here. Brand new one. I always put the sticker over top of the divide between the lid and the why did I throw the lid away? Because I actually wrote flat clear on this one, so it's easy for me to see from far away. You're going to see what the flat clear does to the mud in a minute here. It actually kind of turns it white and gives that mud a really dusty, dry mud look, which is actually quite unique. Is kind of neat in the fact that it does that, because what happens is it kind of uniforms it. Doesn't make the mud look, it makes the mud look really dry, right? That dirt now looks super dry. Look at that. That is turning white as it dries because that's the way it is. Because that's the way it is. And well, yeah, that's the easiest way I can put it. Turret off of there so that I can turn this around while I spray. right now it looks very glossy and shiny because the paint's wet, but that is going to dry in just a few minutes, and when it dries we're going to have one solid flat color and it's going to look realistic. So that, throw this away. We're basically done, guys. It's basically going to be it. Yeah, let me do this for you. Let's see if I can get my camera working here and you can see what I've done, maybe. There. Okay. There you go. That's kind of what it looks like now. As this is drying, you can see my turret over here. This is almost, it's dry to the touch. I could very carefully manipulate it. That's a turret. That's what it looks like. Right. Yeah. I don't want to play around with the turret because I did just paint it, so. And this is, although it's kind of dry to the touch, it's going to be a little tacky. Yeah. That's basically it. Just like that. Okay. So as the mud is dry, it looks really dry and kind of white colored, and that's the kind of what I was looking for. I want it dry. Right? So there we go. That's that. Okay, as you can see, that what paint isn't perfectly dry, as I got some from putting my finger on the edge there. Got some paint on my finger now, but that's all right. Yeah, that's that. So I want to fix up this with some panel lining. The grills don't look realistic when you've got all that mud in them. So let's bring this back over here. Okay. I want to use the Tamiya panel liner and get in that grill. Through all of this, like that. Okay. And we got a little too much. I don't want that much, so there. Soak a little bit of that up. There. Okay, and then also on our, it's kind of our grill on the back, there's actually a decal that says warning hot air. It's basically our, I guess it's our engine exhaust grill. Is my guess. Anyway, that's that. Now it doesn't have dust in there and that looks more realistic. So, final assembly is line up that turret. And bingo, done. We're done, guys. There's our tank. There's our Polish PL-01 concept tank. Done. With all of our little tidbits and stuff like that. And that's it. We're done. Finished. So, with that done, I will let this dry for another few minutes or so, and then I'll take a few pictures of it and I'll upload it to my Instagram like I do with every other build that I do. So down below in the description box you're going to see links to my Instagram, to my Twitch, and even to my X and stuff like that. And so you could always check those out if you feel like it. Also down below you're going to see that like button. I appreciate hitting the like button, and also even more importantly to me is that subscribe button. Over 70% of you guys who watch my videos don't subscribe, so please hit that subscribe button. And in fact, once I do hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be doing a collaboration with my fiance, and we're going to build them all together. She's never built one before, and it's going to be her first time experiencing anything like this. And so it's going to be interesting. It'll be kind of different to see, showing somebody the ropes on exactly what's involved with building a model and how to do it, and the fact that you don't have to be a professional to get a decent looking model sitting on your shelf. So again guys, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming out, and the comments, thank you so much. I have noticed I did reply, so I try to reply to every comment that I get on my videos. So yeah, so by all means leave me comments, talk to me. Anyway, hey, well, thank you very much, and yeah, we'll see you all in the next one.